On November 4, 2025, a UPS cargo plane erupted into flames just after takeoff from Louisville, Kentucky. It was supposed to be a routine overnight flight, a short climb, a smooth turn, and then hours across the Pacific. But less than 1 minute after takeoff, the plane began to fall. The plane slammed into the ground and exploded into a massive fireball that could be seen for miles. But what really happened in those final seconds before the crash? This is the story of UPS Flight 2976. On November 4, 2025, the 34-year-old UPS McDonnell Douglas MD-11F cargo jet lined up for departure from Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport, Kentucky. The flight number was UPS 2976, a scheduled cargo route from Louisville to Honolulu, Hawaii. The MD-11F was an old but reliable aircraft, a 3-engine wide-body jet that had been flying for nearly 3 decades. It was registered as N259UP, part of UPS's long-serving MD-11 fleet. The flight was delivered to Thai Airways in 1991, converted to freighter, and transferred to UPS in 2006. The weather was calm, visibility was clear, and at Louisville's Worldport, the largest UPS air hub in the world, 3 seasoned pilots prepared for what should have been a routine flight. At the controls were Captain Richard Wartenberg, First Officer Lee Truitt, and Captain Dana Diamond, highly experienced aviators with decades of combined flight time and years of dedicated service with UPS Airlines. At 5:15 p.m., Flight 2976 began its takeoff roll on runway 17R. The engines roared to full power, pushing more than 180,000 pounds of thrust. As the aircraft accelerated, everything seemed normal, until one loud explosion changed everything. Witnesses along the runway saw a bright flash and a trail of fire under the left wing. The sound was described as a deep boom that echoed across the airfield. The left engine, a General Electric CF680C2, had caught fire just seconds before liftoff. In the cockpit, alarms began blaring. The captain called for an abort, but the aircraft was already near V1 speed, the point where takeoff can no longer safely be stopped. The pilots pulled the throttles back and tried to slow down, but then, in a split second, things got worse. The left engine detached completely from the wing, ripping hydraulic and fuel lines as it broke off. A massive fire spread across the wing and fuselage, pouring burning jet fuel along the tarmac. With asymmetric thrust and no hydraulic control, the plane veered sharply to the left, left the runway, and began sliding across the ground. At 5:16 p.m., just 43 seconds after the explosion, UPS Flight 2976 slammed into an industrial complex on the southwest edge of the airport. The impact triggered an enormous explosion that engulfed several warehouses and vehicles in flames. Witnesses described a wave of heat and metal raining from the sky. The fireball rose hundreds of feet high, visible across much of Louisville. Emergency responders arrived within minutes, but the scene was almost impossible to approach. The fire burned so hot that steel beams twisted and collapsed. It took firefighters more than 3 hours to bring the flames under control. When rescue teams finally reached the wreckage, there were no survivors. All 3 crew members on board were killed instantly. On the ground, the crash destroyed multiple industrial buildings. The final death toll is 13. Others are still missing. It was one of the deadliest cargo plane accidents in modern U.S. aviation history. By the following morning, the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, had teams on site, assisted by the FAA, UPS, and General Electric. They recovered both the flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder from the wreckage, heavily burned, but still readable. Initial findings confirmed what eyewitnesses described. The left engine had suffered a catastrophic mechanical failure during the takeoff roll. Moments later, it separated from the aircraft completely. Security camera footage from the airport perimeter captured the sequence in chilling detail. A burst of fire, a rolling jet losing control, then a blinding explosion at the end of the runway. Investigators believe the engine failure began when a fan blade fractured, possibly due to metal fatigue or undetected internal cracks. When a fan blade separates at high speed, it can rip through the engine housing and cause what's known as an uncontained failure, where engine fragments puncture nearby systems or fuel lines. That's exactly what appears to have happened on Flight 2976. Shrapnel tore through the pylon, fuel ignited, and structural damage caused the engine to tear away from the wing. The MD-11 is an aircraft with a complex reputation. It's large, powerful, and efficient, but it's also known for being hard to handle during critical moments of flight. The loss of one engine on takeoff, especially with severe damage to the wing, would have left the crew almost no chance to regain control. The aircraft had been maintained at UPS's standard schedule and had undergone a major inspection earlier in 2025. It had logged more than 58,584 total hours and 10,907 flight cycles over its lifetime, typical for its age. The NTSB's metallurgy experts began examining the fractured engine parts for signs of fatigue, corrosion, or maintenance error. They also focused on the engine pylon bolts, the critical components that attach the engine to the wing. Records later revealed that the aircraft had recently undergone extensive maintenance work. It had been grounded for more than 6 weeks at a facility in San Antonio, where technicians noted corrosion and at least one crack inside a fuel tank that required repair. The NTSB confirmed that investigators were examining every piece of maintenance documentation related to the aircraft, though early statements indicated there was no known mechanical issue before the flight. At the crash site, recovery crews worked through the night. Large pieces of the fuselage were found scattered across several blocks. Drone footage showed scorched ground, collapsed roofs. UPS's worldport operations were temporarily halted, affecting hundreds of flights and millions of packages across the country. The company released a brief statement. "We are deeply saddened by this tragic event and extend our condolences to the families of those who lost their lives. UPS is fully cooperating with federal investigators." For the residents living near the airport, the explosion was like nothing they had ever seen. People described seeing a bright flash in the sky, followed by a deafening boom. Some thought it was an earthquake. Others said the ground shook like a bomb had gone off. One man told local reporters, "The whole warehouse lit up orange. Then it felt like the world exploded."
It was an explosion after explosion after explosion, and so you just didn't know what was going to happen.
By morning, local news stations were broadcasting aerial views of the crash site, an enormous burn scar surrounded by emergency crews and smoldering wreckage. The NTSB quickly issued a national advisory, requesting immediate inspections of MD-11 aircraft operated by UPS and FedEx. The goal is to check for similar fatigue patterns in the engine fan blades and pylon mounts. While engine failures are rare, uncontained failures leading to engine separation are even rarer. The last time something similar happened in the US was more than a decade earlier. Aviation experts compared the incident to the 2018 Southwest Airlines Flight 1380 accident, where an engine fan blade failure shattered a window mid-flight, killing one passenger, and to El Al Flight 1862 in 1992, when a cargo Boeing 747 lost 2 engines after takeoff from Amsterdam, killing 43 people. The Louisville crash now joins that small, tragic list of catastrophic mechanical failures that destroyed an aircraft within seconds. By November 6th, the NTSB held its first public briefing. They confirmed that the engine detached before the plane left the ground and that the crew attempted to abort takeoff moments before impact. The cleanup at the crash site continued for days. Entire sections of the industrial park were cordoned off, and crews worked to remove toxic debris and burn fuel. By the end of the week, the remains of the aircraft were transported to an NTSB facility for full reconstruction. A final report is expected sometime in 2026. But early findings suggest that a structural failure inside the left engine's fan module led to a chain reaction, resulting in the complete loss of the engine and hydraulic systems. As of now, the official cause remains under investigation, but the evidence is clear. The plane was destroyed by a sudden and violent mechanical failure that no human could have prevented. For the families of the 13 victims, also for the 3 UPS crew members, it was an accident that turned an ordinary workday into tragedy. The final moments of UPS Flight 2976 lasted less than 1 minute. From the first spark of fire to the final explosion, there was no warning, no chance to escape, and no survivors. It's a haunting reminder that even in 2025, in an era of flawless automation, predictive maintenance, and advanced safety systems, one mechanical failure can still turn a routine flight into disaster. Listen, this video is based on information available as of November 7, 2025. The NTSB investigation is ongoing, and additional details may emerge as the inquiry continues. Thanks for watching the video.